Okay, it won't come out. Yep, it won't come out. I recently bought this deck. I haven't unwrapped it yet. It came all bubble wrapped and everything in a big brown Amazon box. I got it out of that box, but I haven't unwrapped it and unboxed it yet. So I thought I would record it. Alright, so I bought this deck after I saw a few flip throughs. And the reason I bought this deck is primarily it's Guidebook. I heard that the guidebook that comes with this deck is amazing, and I'm a sucker for good guidebooks. And also, this deck has a few extra cards. When I unbox it, I'll show them to you. So there are some really good extra cards that really align with the way that I would like to read those cards. Like there's an extra snake card, there are a couple extra bird cards, and I think the way that some of the bird cards are shown in this deck really dignify the bird meaning instead of just associating them with confusion and chatter and gossip. So this deck is written by Chloe McCraken and the artwork is by Will Worthington. Okay, I think I'll unbox it now. I have used several other Lenormand cards before, so I'm not new to Lenormand, but I'm new to this deck. My first Lenormand deck was just like made out of playing cards. I just wrote, oh, okay, so there are no the little cutouts that come with these boxes, which help you like pull them out. This box doesn't have them, so it's gonna be a little bit difficult to get this out. I have been trying for a few seconds now already. Okay, it won't come out. Yep, it won't come out. Okay, let's see if we can get the bottom part to come a little bit lower. Yeah, I think I'm doing it. Yep, I think this is working. All right. I really wish it had those little cutouts for you to place your finger and like pull out the box. Yep, it's coming out. It's working. Yep, it's happening. Oh, see? There's a little symbol here. There's a little symbol right here. And here's our male rider. And on the other side, there are birds here. Yeah. I like the design on the box, but I really wish it had those cut out on the sides. The inside of the lid is green. It's smooth. It feels nice to touch. So here's the guidebook. It doesn't come with like a ribbon or something to pull it, but there is enough gap here. I don't know if you can see it. There is enough gap here for you to just like stick your finger and pull it out. I have a decent amount of nail length to be able to do that. Yep, that wasn't very difficult. Okay, I think I'll look at the guidebook first. All right. Okay, so one of the bird cards is the cover of the guidebook. This is one of the bird cards. Celtic Lenormand. All right, the back has US games on it and a little symbol. It looks nice and rustic. I like it. It's small, which is convenient. I really like it when they don't like put the book separately in a big box and then the cards inside the big box. I think this is a much better way to do it, but if you are going to make a guidebook which has a lot of information, like a chunky guide, but if you're gonna make a guidebook that is like chunky and has a lot of information, yep, go for it. Go for separate book and separate deck. Okay, so this is how it looks on the inside. Introduction, what makes this a pagan decked theme, the god and goddess, additional cards, the people cards, the spiritual tradition in Lenormand reading, the wheel of the year, deck, dark and light, affirmations, playing card associations and Lenormand numbering, the Celtic Lenormand cards, how to use the cards, combining cards, working with deity, great. Using the cards and spells, oh okay, I love this. Card spreads, moon phases, oh wow, okay. I am very impressed. I absolutely love the contents. Absolutely love all this. This is why I bought this deck. When I was going through other reviews and flip-throughs, this is the thing that the other people emphasized on, the guidebook, and I absolutely love this. I made a very good decision buying this. What I really like about this is the affirmations and then working with the deities, using the cards and spells. Well, I really appreciate all this extra content which you wouldn't find in some other decks, and I really appreciate all this witchcraft and pagan associations, but I didn't really get this deck because I am psyched about pagan theme. I don't know if that is my aesthetic, but I bought this for the guidebook mostly, and the extra cards and all these spell use, timings, dark and light association, deities. Absolutely love this. This will really add quality to my practice. Combining cards. Good stuff. And I like how small the book is. It's not threatening. Usually when the guidebook is like really big and chunky and you are a person who is really into guidebooks and you want to get all the information in, you want to soak all the information in, but the deck is just humongous, it's kind of intimidating that you won't manage to read the whole thing. But I like how small this book is. It's very adorable and very non-threatening. There are several card spreads here. If you're into that, if you like card spreads stated in the guidebook, I usually don't stick with suggested spreads. How I read is I just shuffle through the deck and I talk to it and I ask questions, and then the deck just gives me cards. Like I usually take pop-outs, you know, cards that just like fly out as you're shuffling. That's how I read. I find that very interesting. So yeah, there are multiple spreads here, like way too many spreads, and which is perfectly fine. And if you are a beginner, I think this guide will really help you out. Alright, so that's enough for the guide. Now let's get into the cards. The cards are really small, and that's exactly how I like it. I like small cards because like my hand isn't too big. Wait, like my hand isn't too big, so I find it very comfortable dealing with small cards, which is great for me. My hand is like 15 centimeters. Yep. Okay. Oh, all right. I am not a big fan of. Okay, how do I get this thing out? Okay, I managed to poke a little hole, and now I'm just gonna. Yep, that will do it. That will do it. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is absolutely gorgeous. There's a little bit of a glare. I don't know if I would call it a matte finish. I don't think I would. There's a little bit of a glare. It's a shiny card, but you can still see it, you see? You can still see it on camera, even with the light and everything. The glare isn't that bad. If you have the right angle, it shouldn't bother you. So this is the first card in the deck. This is a female rider. This is something I like about it. The rider comes in both sexes. So this is the female rider. This is the male rider, and they both go in like opposite directions. So if direction is something that is important to you, this is a good purchase. Clover. These cards are really colorful. I like that. Ship. But these cards don't have like the keywords written on them. So if you are a beginner, you might have to refer to the guidebook to learn all the names. I believe this is home. Yeah, this is a home. There's a little tub here. I don't know what that is supposed to be for. I guess they had some use for it in their culture. Tree. There are 2 tree cards, both in different seasons. I like them both. This tree reminds me of Christmas, so I really like this. This gives me good vibes. This tree feels very spiritual, which is one of the meanings of the tree. Very natural. I like it. I like how they put completely 2 different seasons, because people use Lenormand to read time as well. Clouds. A gray cloud and a white cloud. You could use it to interpret it in 2 different meanings. Now this is one of the extra cards that I bought this for. The snake. I don't like how the snake is always interpreted and how it's made to look poisonous and evil and something you're supposed to be scared of. Well, while that is one way to look at it, I like to think of it as a card of transformation. I like how the card is shedding its skin, and I like how there is a moon in the background here. I like how there is like a crescent here, like the moon here. It kind of suggests like an approaching new moon, and new moon is like associated with new beginnings and transformation, new beginnings. Absolutely love this. And this is one of the cards I bought this for. So this is a burial site. I think you would have to be a little bit culturally aware to be able to interpret this as a burial site. This is just, I'm just not familiar with the culture, and I would never at the first glance assume this to be a burial site. Just looks kind of like a cave to me. Another, I think this is supposed to signify like another approaching new moon, another new beginnings, and this is a hint to me. I mean, I interpret it as a hint of an approaching new beginning. I really like these moon inserts. I pulled out this house card because it kind of looks similar to me with the patterns on the entrance. I was wondering, is it possible that this is another house card? But no, I mean, it would have the same number and everything, and this is the coffin number, so yeah. Flowers. It kind of looks like a garden to me, but it is supposed to be the bouquet card, so with all the flowers, it makes sense how you would interpret this image as a bouquet, but this really reminds me of a garden. The scythe. Yep, and this is another one of the extra cards that I bought this deck for. There are like 3 different bird cards. Let me show you. Look at this. Bird card 1, bird card 2, bird card 3. Do you see them? Do you see the difference? This to me kind of is like, I think I would read this as confusion. I would read this as wisdom. And I would read this as social chatter, but not like in a negative sense. I think from all these cards, I think this is the one that I would associate with gossiping. I don't know why. I don't have anything against hens or roosters. I don't have anything against roosters, but you know how they crow, and it's kind of noisy. I would read this as like the negative chatter, this as someone possibly talking about you in a positive sense, and this I would read as wisdom. I really like this card. I think this is a very good way to dignify birds instead of just interpreting them as like mindless gossip and chatter and confusion and stuff like that. Noise, basically. I think this would be my positive social conversation. And networking, I would read that as like a positive networking card. I want to see if the guidebook interprets them differently as well. We'll look into that later. All right. So this is child. There are 2 child cards, 1 male, 1 female. This is the fox card. The fox is like associated with making a living and surviving. So how this fox is looking at this fish, it's kind of like him trying to secure the bag, which is, I think, a good interpretation and a good way to express it artistically. I really like this. I like that they put a fish in here and he's looking at her. I don't know why I'm associating them as him and her. I really like how this fox is looking at this fish. The leader. the bear card, the person who already has the bag, you know, just look at it. 14, 15, looking forward to making a good living, looking forward to securing money, already having done it. The star card. I really don't think that there was a need for this person in this picture. They could have just like they could have just put an image of like the galaxy. I would have appreciated if there were like more stars in the sky, or like a big bright sky instead of like this small one over here. And there are a lot of other stars, but if you're gonna make a star card, your main focus should be the star. I think even a picture of like the galaxy would be nice, with like a lot of bright stars and like purple and pink, all sorts of colors. That would have been nice. But sure, I mean, they're trying to incorporate the culture, and you see this design of this device is holding here, old-timey telescope, I guess, whatever, I don't know what they call it. And the pants, whatever he's wearing, his hair, very expressive of the culture. Storks. I like this picture. So usually you'd have like a dog card, but here they have like included the cat as well, which is cute, which is nice. I want to see if the cards with which have like extra cards have different meanings as well. Here is the dog. So here is the Tower card. Wow. This is not how I would imagine a Tower card to look, but Garden. I like this. But it would be nice if they could like incorporate a few people in this card, because the garden card is all about socializing and community and society, so I'd like to see a few people in here. This is supposed to be the mountain card. Crossroads. I really like these spiral patterns here. Oh, and there's another thing that stood out to me. You see how one side has grass, on the other side there are flowers. It could be a way to interpret that choosing one of the paths could bring beauty and pleasure into your life. And there's another thing that stood out to me. How you see how this road goes downward, and like you see water here, you see the sea or the ocean here, and then this one goes upward, and there are like something that looks like hills or mountains or like whatever this thing is. And it kind of looks like going uphill, and there's grass over here, and then going downhill there are flowers over here. I don't know if any of you are like familiar with Abraham Hicks, but they talk about how going downhill is the way to finding happiness and joy, and finding everything that would bring you happiness and joy. I really like this. Mice. When I look at this card, my eyes go straight to the water here and then to the clouds. If this was supposed to be a heart card, the heart should have been bigger. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, if the heart is your main attraction, you might as well emphasize it a little more. So 25 is supposed to be the card of ring, promises, commitment. And I like how they have like the main emphasis is like two hands holding each other, like partnership. And there's like a tiny, small little ring over here in what looks like the woman's hand. The ring is like tiny. The main emphasis is the partnership. Book, very obvious. A letter, not very difficult to identify. Man, or as I like to call it, animus. When you call a card like the man card, you only associate it with like a man, but when you call it the animus, you kind of associate it with the masculine. And in a reading, the reading could be about a completely separate man, or it could be about your masculine energy, it could be about your yang energy. So I don't like seeing this card as just the man card. I like calling it animus. So there is this authoritative older man, and then there is this younger man who looks like he is still in the process of climbing up the ladder. Then there is this woman who looks very in power, looks like she has stuff under her control. She also kind of looks like a very protective woman, you know, with the spear in her hand, if that is a spear. Looks like a spear to me. And then there's this young woman. She looks like she too is trying to find her way in the world. So these two cards have similar energy. And then these two cards have similar energy. Here's the lily, the sun, the moon, key, fish, anchor, and the cross. Okay, so now that we've gone through all the cards, I kind of want to read if the cards that are repeated have the same meaning. So I'm gonna separate the repeat cards on one side so I can get them out of this pile. Okay, I'm gonna put these cards back in this box. And then we'll look through the guidebook. I'm just gonna quickly look through if they do have similar meaning. I'll just do one of these repeat cards for you, and so you get an idea if the cards that are repeated come with their own separate meanings. Okay. So not only they do have their own separate meanings, they also have their own separate names. So she is the lady. Let's look at the descriptors. Decisive, womanly, intuitive, feminine, motherly, caring, independent. Yes, the motherly vibe did come through when I said that I think she's kind of protective. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. In front of an ornate stone round house stands a lady. In her left hand she holds a bronze spear, and there is a shield just behind her. She wears a dress of multicolored square. Her jewelry, sandals, and belt are golden. Traditionally, the lady represents the querent if she's female, or the most important woman in the querent's life. If he is a man, his wife, partner, woman, sister, soulmate, or a friend. Likewise, the characteristics of this woman would be read from the surrounding cards. As there are two female figures in this deck, the woman and the lady, these can also be taken as different aspects of the querent, whether they are male or female. This is a powerful woman, decisive, independent. She cares for her community, not only by lending her wisdom and intuition to the cause of the village, but also through willingness to fight for it. Yep, I was right. Like a mother fights for her children, so the lady takes on responsibility for others. She may also take on projects that she feels will foster the well-being of those under her care. She's a spiritual teacher for the tribe. In a reading, it can also be seen as a particular aspect of the person's life or personality. For example, it can be seen as representing the more spiritual or intuitive part of someone's life, or the more career-focused aspect. Okay, now let's look at this card. Woman. Traditionally, the woman represents the querent if she is female, or the most important woman in the querent's life. Yeah, likewise, the characteristics of this person would be read from the surrounding cards, as there are two female figures in this card, the woman and the lady. These can also be taken as different aspects of the querent, whether male or female. The woman is creative, working with her hands to spin and color yarn, and later fashion it into clothes, blankets, and rugs. There is a nurturing aspect to her, creating things for the comfort of others. She is close to nature, in tune with the cycle of the season and the plants and the animals in her local area. In a reading, as well as representing the querent or an important woman in his life, this card can also be seen as a particular aspect of the person's life or personality. Okay, home-based part of someone's life, such as family and hobbies. It could also personify an artist or someone who is creative. The card can also represent archetypal female aspects of either a man or a woman: intuition, passivity, and nurturing. Alright, so what I get from these two cards is they're both supposed to be intuitive and represent the feminine qualities, the yin qualities, but there is an emphasis of more maturity and more protectiveness in this card as compared to this. Okay. Alright, let's look at the bird cards now. I think this is the last one that we'll do. I'm not going to read through the whole meaning. I'm just going to look at the keywords and see if there's a difference in the keywords and see if there's a difference in how they're supposed to be seen. All right. Songbirds. Okay, so I was right about the whole harmony, positive communication thing. Songbirds communicate in harmonious ways. Of course, you may not always understand what their conversation is about, yet there is a healing aspect to their music, just as being able to speak and be heard and to truly listen can be healing, particularly when you are nervous and stressed. So this is like the remedy to the nervous energy. Okay, interesting. Let's look at the next one. Chickens. Chickens are the domesticated, abundant version of the goddess, providing food and well-being. They are social and also suggest gossip and chatter. Many people are nervous about gossip, stressed at the thought of what might be revealed about them or said without foundation. When you get excited or nervous, it is easy to say things you regret later. And this is especially common in situations like interviews and telephone conversations. Yep, I was right about this one. Nervous chatter. Or negative chatter. Owls, okay. Sitting together with 3 owls can commune, sharing wisdom. I was right about this. However, not all communication is harmonious, and sometimes talk degenerates into debate or even gossip. Overall, though, these birds presage good things when it comes time to speak. Be it for an interview or a speech, they say that you can leave nervousness behind and speak clearly, expressing your perspective well. All right. So if it comes to things like interviews or like an important conversation about something, and either one of these 2 cards come up, I think you could read this as nervousness during interview or nervousness in an important conversation or whatever, and you could read this as speaking from a place of wisdom and the absence of nervousness and clarity, basically. Okay, so that was that. Bye.